Hi everyone and welcome to the tutorial. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to work the Turkish cast-on method. This is a popular cast-on to use for toe-up sock knitting because it allows you to work in the round, but also for the object that you're knitting in the round to have an enclosed end. So that is great for the toe of a toe-up sock. This cast-on also has other applications though, and it's a very easy method to work. So the first thing we're going to do for the cast on is to create a slip knot. If you don't know how to make one of those, all you need to do is take the tail end of yarn, of your working yarn, and that needs to be on the left, and then the working yarn that's attached to the ball is on your right, and the working yarn goes around your left index finger like so, just once. And then you need to push it sort of behind the loop on your finger so that it's crossing behind like this and in front of the tail end, which you can just grip with the fingers of your left hand. And then we take the loop off of our index finger and then we'll push the working yarn through it, and then we'll pull this tail end to tighten and make a knot. And then we have a loop which is adjustable in size. So then we're going to take the needles that we're using for our project. I'm going to be using a circular needle, but you can also do this with double pointed needles. So you'll just need to hold either the two tips of your circular needle or two of your double pointed needles together, and with tips pointing towards the right. So we're then going to take our slip knot and we're going to place it on the lowest of the two needles if we're holding them together like this. So we'll pop it on this lower needle here. And then you can pull the working end of yarn and that will tighten that slip knot. Okay, now the fun thing about the Turkish cast on is that the next thing we have to do is just start wrapping the yarn around the needle. So we're going to go behind from here and then up and over the top of our needle tips like so. And then we'll just keep wrapping like that. So we go behind the needles and then up over the top of them like that. Now every loop that we now create around our two needles will later become two stitches. We don't count our slip knot because that's later going to be undone and won't exist anymore. So ignore that, and then each of these big loops is counted as two. So right now I've got what will become four stitches in total. So you'll need to have a look at your pattern and it might say cast on 16 stitches in total. That would then be 8 loops around the needle. So right now I've got 2, so we'll go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that will then become 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 stitches. Alright, so now we're going to pull out this lower needle tip here. If you were using double pointed needles, you would have a spare needle tip that you can now use. You might just want to divide these loops between your double pointed needles because it can be really tricky at first to negotiate your work with double pointed needles because you've got two rigid tips, whereas with your circular needle you can just pull out that lower needle and then you have flexibility to work. So no matter what, we then need to come around to work these stitches on the top needle. So I've been holding the working yarn in place with the fingers on my left hand. You can just hold it in place however it feels comfortable for you. And we're just going to start knitting across these loops. So I'll insert my right hand needle knitwise into the first loop, just like that. And then the yarn is coming around to knit that first stitch. There we go. We'll keep doing that. So insert knitwise into the next loop. Insert knitwise. We're just knitting them as normal and as if they are regular stitches until we get to the end like that. And now we'll need to rotate our stitches around so that we can work across the other stitches. So because I'm using magic loop, I'm going to pull my cable so that they're now returned to the needle. And as I said, if you're using DPNs, you would just need to play with this, divide your stitches between your double pointed needles however feels comfortable. Okay, so now we're going to get rid of this first stitch, which is our slipped knot. So we're going to pull that off the needle, and you should just be able to tug it like that and it'll disappear. And now you should see that we're getting this little sort of pocket. There's a join between our two sets of stitches, and that's going to become even more clear when we now knit across the next row of stitches. So make sure that your working yarn is going over the top of your bottom needle like that, to then come around and knit that first stitch so that you don't lose that last stitch. And we'll just knit across each of these stitches absolutely normally. All right. Now that that's done, let's just have a look at what we've got. Just put everything back on the needle. So we've now got 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. So we've got 16 stitches in total, and those stitches are connected between the needle. As we knit this, you'll see more clearly that there is a really beautiful join between them, which is absolutely seamless. So you'll have stitches traveling in both directions that will join together in the round, but you won't have a visible seam between them. It'll be really lovely. So that's how to work the Turkish cast on method. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or comments, do leave them below.